CNN Headline News. I'm Lynn Russell. Saudi Arabian television released pictures of Kuwait today, videotaped in the aftermath of Iraq's invasion of that country. And the world joins forces against Iraq with economic sanctions, backed by a show of military might. The invasion of Kuwait left cars, businesses, and homes damaged and sent people fleeing across the Kuwaiti desert into Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, in Iraq, thousands of people poured into the streets of Baghdad today to show their support for Iraqi President Saddam Hussein. Hussein has called on all Arabs and Muslims to rise up against their pro-Western leaders and launch a holy war against the American-led presence in Saudi Arabia. That call has generated daily pro-Iraqi demonstrations in the Middle East. Despite the
One couple is looking forward to going there. That story next.
Get out of the Middle East, but a Battle Lake, Minnesota couple is excited to get in.
Kathy Love and Brad Latzke will leave Tuesday to take teaching jobs in Saudi Arabia. Pat Carley reports.
Kathy and Brad are a husband and wife team who combined teaching careers with a love of travel. Brad teaches social studies in Phi-Ed, Kathy elementary and special ed. The couple spent 4 years teaching in Colombia. They're not frightened about the prospect of teaching in Saudi Arabia.
And sometimes people get a misconception of all of Colombia is nothing but drug wars. And I think now the same thing, all of Saudi Arabia will be, at war. Well, this is a big country, And we had, 4 wonderful years in Colombia.
The couple will be teaching children of corporate executives at a private school. They originally planned to be stationed 150 miles from Kuwait, right in the area of the oil fields, but the Iraqi aggression has changed that. Now they're going 800 miles across the country to a school on the Red Sea.
We were scheduled to leave on the 14th and arrive in Saudi Arabia on the 19th of August. Now, had we gone 3 weeks earlier, say, had that been our assignment to arrive 3 weeks earlier, and Hussein had kept on going through Kuwait, and he would have marched straight down to the oil fields, well, that's where we would have been. So, timing is everything in life.
Kathy and Brad's home on Battle Lake is filled with pictures and mementos of their Colombia experience. They say the money and the adventure draws them to overseas jobs. It's not hard to understand when you see their pictures. The Arabia contracts will last 2 years, and they get round-trip tickets home during the summer. But then what?
This coming back here in the summertime, it just fits us just right now. But 5 years from now, it's hard to say.
5, 10.
15.
Okay.
Who knows?
Pat Carley, KTHI, News 11.
As we told you earlier, home in North Fargo, and in the Mideast crisis, no progress reported after round 1, but the UN Secretary General and Iraqi officials will try again tomorrow.
I'm Steve Bergeson. The Middle East crisis is drawing attention to alternative fuels. I'll tell you about a researcher at NDSU that's glad to see that.
This is Jim Shaw. We'll tell you about a Battle Lake area couple that can't wait to move to Saudi Arabia.
Well, it sounds like many Americans are trying to get out of the Middle East. A Battle Lake, Minnesota couple is eagerly going there to live. Kathy Love and Brad Latzke are leaving Tuesday for Saudi Arabia, where they will teach for 2 years. Jim Shaw reports.
At first glance, it looks like Kathy Love and Brad Latzke are packing for an ordinary weekend trip. But in these out-of-the-ordinary times, that's hardly the case. While American troops are in one part of Saudi Arabia, they'll be in another, teaching primarily British and American youngsters.
We feel very secure and confident right now about going, and we're looking forward to it. We've thought about it and talked about it, and we don't see any reason not to go at this time. Really don't.
Kathy and Brad, who have been married for 3 years, are used to living in places where many Americans wouldn't go anywhere near. They recently taught for 4 years in Colombia. With free housing, utilities, and furniture, and an exemption from American income taxes, they've got a pretty good deal. But still, Saudi Arabia, now?
You're not fearful that you could end up like the thousands of Americans who went to Iraq and Kuwait, felt safe, now they can't get out?
No, I'm not. I'm not fearful of that. At this point, I'm not where we were I would have been. Because geographically, I think we're far enough away. And for them to have a land attack where we are, it would be almost impossible. I mean, there's no way that they could get to us up a mountain and that distance away. By air, I feel that the superiority of, you know, the U.S. and the British Air Force is such that they won't arrive that, or they won't come in that way.
Brad and Kathy use the maps to convince people they'll be hundreds of miles from Iraq and Kuwait, and therefore quite safe. So they're not about to change their minds.
For all our friends and relatives, yes, we are going. We have heard so many times, you're not going, are you? And that kind of stuff, and we're used to that.
I went to a wedding last week in Bemidji, and a cousin of mine, he like looked at me like, "You're crazy," you know. So there's a war going on over there. But yeah, they're telling us, you know, why go? You know, wish you were going somewhere else.
Is there anything anybody can say that would talk you out of going to Saudi Arabia?
Well, if we win the lotto, I guess we're not going. That's what my husband says, but I still say we go if we win the lotto.
From Battle Lake, Jim Shaw, WDAY, News Center 6.
Kathy and Brad will teach at a private international school for students in pre-kindergarten through grade 9.
Their biggest fear is the flight. A Battle Lake, Minnesota couple is now on their way to Saudi Arabia. Brad Latzke and Kathy Love each signed a 2-year contract to teach at an international school in the Middle East before the current hostilities began in the Persian Gulf. But the military maneuvers don't concern this husband and wife team. They spent 4 years teaching in Colombia, and the presence of the U.S. Army in Saudi Arabia makes them feel comfortable.
This is just our way of life, the way we like to do things, and we don't think we're that unusual, but I guess some others do.
So where we're at, we figure if they're students, if it's safe for them, it's safe for us.
Latzke and Love say their quest for the unusual is what brought them together. While in Saudi Arabia, the teachers will get free housing and pay no taxes.